So yeah, sex is cool, but have you ever put together a really effective D2 build, then you heard that it was actually getting buffed? What up, you nerds? My name is Fallout, and today I'm gonna take you through a damn fun build I put together before realizing that it's actually just days away from becoming even stronger. It is a PvP build, and it is mainly for hunters. Yeah, I know. Really, Fallout? Lol, yes, really. No hidden agendas or straight up joking tone that I think most people will get that just winds up with folks foaming at the mouth in my DMs. The build is strong and fun, and that's it. A promise from me to you. Also, today's build will once again be featured on Mobalytics. They are the sponsor of today's video. Mobalytics is a great site you'll probably get a lot of value out of. They have a wide collection of D2 builds that you can go and check out on your own. It's organized and gives you everything you need to understand the build all in one convenient place. Link down in the video description. Thank you, Mobalytics. Okay, as mentioned before, technically any class in the game can take advantage of what we'll go over, but after tinkering around, I firmly believe hunters take advantage of it better than titans or warlocks. Real ones already know, but if you don't, I'm talking about Reaper. That armor mod is becoming a new staple on the majority of my PvP builds, mostly because I find it to be really good, but partially because I need something to fill the gaping hole in my heart left by the death of Quick Charge. Pour one out in the chat for a fallen homie. Anyway, if you're late to the party, I give you Reaper. After using your class ability, your next weapon final blow will spawn an orb of power. That is a painfully easy way of generating an orb of power, and yeah, it does work in PvP. Fun fact, you can actually use multiple copies of the mod and make additional orbs of power drop in on a weapon kill, but oddly enough, only one of them will pop up on the dead enemy's body. The others will drop in a fixed location on each map in the game. If you want to be a real sicko, find out what the featured Trials map is that weekend, then go into a private match with a couple of buddies and figure out where the extra orbs drop. Now, when you play Trials that weekend, you've got backup orbs and you know where they are. Tip from me to you. Anywho, back to Reaper. All you gotta do is activate your class ability before a weapon kill to trigger Reaper, and by the way, no timer on that. Yeah, Reaper won't work if you die before getting that weapon kill, but in theory, you could pop your ability, wait a couple minutes, kill a guy, and bam, orb of power right there on the body. And again, any class can take advantage of Reaper, but what class has the shortest ability cooldown, which can be popped on the fly pretty damn often? Hunter. On top of that, hunters have several exotics tied to having your dodge do fun things. More on that in a little bit. So, what can you do with a free orb of power? A few things, actually. Some people like taking advantage of armor mods like Absolution, Insulation, or anything that can really improve your ability cooldown timer. And that's all fine and good, but for this build, I want weapon surge mods on my leg armor. When you have any armor charge, which is activated by picking up an orb of power, your weapon gets a small bonus to damage output. As I mentioned in a video at the beginning of the season, yeah, that does work in PvP. Granted, the damage buffs are tiny, but they can make all the difference and make you that much harder to take down in a 1v1. One weapon surge mod will give you around 3-ish%, 2 will give you around 4-ish%, and 3 mods will give your affected weapon around 5-ish% extra weapon damage. Like I mentioned, not huge, but considering how often you can get orbs to drop with Reaper, any higher than that in PvP may get a little bit out of control. Weapon Surge has a 10-second duration by default, which is damn good already, but you can extend that with a time dilation mod on your class armor. Even if you're rocking only one dilation mod, that'll give you a 50% extension and take your timer up to a respectable 15 seconds. Awesome. Again, I urge you to not sleep on how a free 5-ish% extra damage can help give you just enough juice to get a kill you may not have gotten otherwise. And with what we got available on the artifact right now, Solar Strand and Void Surge mods will only cost you 1 energy. By the way, I know it might be tempting to also throw on Utility Kickstart to make sure you're also getting your class ability back and therefore able to use Reaper more frequently. Yeah, take it from me, don't do that if you're trying to use Weapon Surge. Having Kickstart on eats up your armor charge for additional class energy, and therefore you won't get to actually get the benefit from Weapon Surge. These two do not play well together. Outside of free weapon damage, there's a few subclass specific things you might have fun with too. Void players, which again this is a Void build, take note of Echo of Starvation. Picking up a Void Breach or any Orb of Power will give you free Devour. And yeah, I know it does come with a recovery penalty, but hey, I mean, Devour kinda makes up for that. Getting a kill while Devour is activated gives you full health every time, and extra grenade energy to boot. Echo of Persistence is also a good pairing because you're extending the duration of Devour power, and invisibility if you're playing a camo hunter, which works really well with this build. In short, the loop is brutal when you get it going. Dodge, activate camo, get a kill, make a free orb with Reaper, grab it, get extra weapon damage, and proc Devour, repeat. My other two fragment picks are Echo of Dilation, just for straight up better mobility and being extra sneaky, and Echo of Domineering, which I'm actually going to put on the back burner for now. More on that a tad later. Aspect wise, I'm going for Vanishing Step for invisibility and Stylish Executioner. Not that Trapper's Ambush isn't good, by the way, I just want the 4 fragment spots, and for this build, I'm gonna lean into the dodge factor from Vanishing rather than the smoke dive factor from Trapper. Okay, now why don't we talk about my favorite part of the build, the weapon. While every weapon can benefit from free extra damage, there's one in particular that really benefits specifically from you grabbing an orb of power, Wave Splitter. Trace rifles are kind of the red-headed stepchild of the PvP sandbox right now, but oh how well Wave Splitter does with today's build. In case you've forgotten, and I won't blame you if you had, it's got a fun little perk called Supercharged Battery. Collecting an orb of power grants a period of maximum power that starts with an automatic reload. TLDR, grab an orb of power via Reaper, and now your power level is maximal. When you grab your free orb of power, your Wave Splitter effectiveness goes way up, and you can beam through people like a hot knife through butter. Harmonic Laser can make the weapon feel inconsistent by design, but again, that feeling you get when grabbing an orb and letting it rip is great. One more thing about Supercharged Battery. In addition to your orb pushing you to your maximum power, Sustained Fire will also suppress enemies for free. And on that note, why don't we jump back to Echo of Domineering, which now hopefully you understand a little bit more why I picked. Suppressing an enemy gives you greatly increased mobility, a free equipped weapon reload, and generates a free Void Breach when the target is dead. Void Breaches give you even more class ability energy, which for us means more dodge, which means more camo and more Reaper. Not only that, it also activates Devour, again thanks to Echo of Starvation. Now we have multiple ways to proc Devour and extra ability energy when using Wave Splitter to beam down a target. And again, as I mentioned at the very beginning of today's video, this build is actually getting buffed. Because Bungie has felt that trace rifles historically underperform in PvP, they're getting dialed up. As noted in a recent TWAB, which I read live every Thursday on Twitch by the way, trace rifles are getting the following changes in the mid-season update. Base damage is going up by 4%, which is like getting level 2 Void Weapon Surge for free. Crit multiplier is going down, which sounds like a nerf, but when combined with the base 4% damage buff, the crit damage is actually slightly higher than what it is right now. And the one you definitely should not sleep on, improved effectiveness of how the stability stat reduces how much flinch you take. At 100 stability, you resist flinch 10% better, and quick reminder, Wave Splitter by default comes with a whopping 96 stability. I agree with Bungie that on the whole, trace rifles can kind of feel lukewarm in PvP, but Wave Splitter right now does great when paired together with Reaper, and it's only going to get better in the mid-season update. And before I forget, be sure to turn on Volatile Flow on your artifact. Picking up an orb of power gives your void weapon volatile rounds for free, so we're making our Wave Splitter even better when touching an orb. Alright, let's quickly talk about exotic armor pairings. Gemini Jester might immediately come to mind for pairing together with Reaper. With Gemini, you're already dodging up close near enemies before engagements to shut off their radar. Now you can shut off their radar and proc Reaper for a free orb on your next kill. I gotta tell you though, really try to resist the urge to pair Gemini together with being a camo hunter. I know, on paper it seems like a good pairing, but it can actually be counterintuitive. Going camo with Void Hunter, IMO, your goal should be to trick your enemy into thinking there's nobody nearby on the radar before leaping out from a bush and turning them into Swiss cheese. Go camo with Gemini though, and they'll obviously see you coming because they'll straight up know that you were close enough to shut off their radar with Gemini. Other potentially better pairings, Dragon Shadow. Dodge to reload all your weapons and pimp out both movement and weapon handling for a short period of time. Last I checked, dodging with the old Dragoo's Shadow bumped up your mobility by around 50, meaning in theory you could rock 50 mobility but still technically have 100 mobility levels of dodge cooldown because again, dodging would crank your stat up through the roof. Might seem boring, but auto weapon reload, better movement, and weapon handling is dirty in PvP, underestimate at your own risk. Speed loader slacks are kinda in the same ballpark if you have a good roll on those, and if you care more about maybe upping your airborne effectiveness game. Nice benefit about those booties is that they also work for nearby allies when you dodge. Graviton Forfeit, also a play if you want to lean more into the sneaky boy aspect. Gives you longer lasting camo and extra benefits when invisible, including better recovery and a faster melee charge, which I like because it lets me throw fake out smoke bombs more often. If you really enjoy 6v6, I am 100% not memeing, you need to try Aeon Swift. Most of you right now are probably laughing, but a select few are nodding. The Sect of Vigor cult mod gives you additional dodge energy when your allies die, apparently regardless of how far away they are from you when they die. With your limited lifespan in trials, I find it doesn't help as much there, even with the additional energy on a resurrected ally that you get from the exotic. In 6v6 though, I was really shocked at how often I would just randomly get big chunks of mobility for free. Near constant Reaper proccage on that one, trust me, it's kind of weirdly good in 6v6. Ultimately, I think the exotic I use the most with this build is probably Frosties. I don't want to say it's hands down the best because so much will work with the build, but I do love how Frosties gives you so much while requiring you to play no differently than you normally would. Sprint, get extra ability energy for more dodging and more radar troll smoke bombs, what's not to love? You also run faster after dodging, which we'll be doing a lot of to proc Reaper. Solid exotic armor with our loadout today. If you're having trouble coming up with a good pairing, Frosties straight up can't miss. Important stats and other mods. Make getting to tier 10 mobility a priority so you can both abuse camo and Reaper as much as possible. On your helmet, double void targeting to improve the performance of your wave splitter. Yes, they do stack, and no, your friend's uncle's roommate who says they don't is not correct. Same thing for double void unflinching, by the way, really to pimp out the performance of your trace rifle overall. On your leg armor, I'm going triple void weapon surge to squeeze every drop of extra damage we can out of our wave splitter. Finally, we have both Reaper and at least one time dilation on our class armor. And one final time, here's a general TLDR of the build in action. Get near enemies, and if you want, throw a smoke bomb somewhere out of sight to F up their radar. Then go camo and drop off their radar for about 5 seconds while simultaneously activating Reaper. Get a kill with whatever weapon you want and generate an orb on the body. Pick that orb up and you'll now get all of the following with this build. Devour, supercharge battery on your wave splitter, weapon surge to further improve the damage of wave splitter, the ability to suppress enemies directly with wave splitter, and the ability to generate a void breach on any enemy that you suppress with wave splitter. Rinse and repeat. You can also keep dodging repeatedly, even if you're already camo, to keep generating more orbs as you're ripping it up with wave splitter to keep that extra damage train going. When you really get into the rhythm of this build and start melting people with your trace rifle, you will feel like a menace. Sometimes I let an orb of power lay on the ground until an enemy shows up on my radar, then I yoink it at the last second and make their lives awful. Again, today's build will be up on Mobalytics. If you'd like a Warlock or Titan build in the future, either for PvP or PvE, let me know down in the comments section what you're looking forward to the most. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on stream.